All right, welcome in Dawson and Newbear, Oxnard, California, getting ready for this Wednesday practice session. We have 3 topics for you. Newbear, how the heck are you?
I'm excited to be out here. Doesn't get much better than this.
It's great. Check our YouTube shorts as Newbear is going to be watching practice, capturing all the best moments and uploading those. You can also get us on TikTok at How About Wow Cowboys, and please like and sub, hit the bell button so you never miss an upload. But buddy, what I wanted to talk about with you today is a couple of emerging players on the depth chart, one because of injury and then one because maybe he's a nasty defensive tackle that's finally getting his chance after a bumpy road to get to the NFL. But we'll get to those in just a second. I wanted to chat with you about the injury concerns right now on this football team. 9 injuries in a week.
3 to the offensive line alone.
Tripling their pace, tripling the average training camp pace over the Mike McCarthy era. Mike McCarthy stressed, keep the GPS numbers low. Brian Schottenheimer is stressing, let's boost the GPS numbers and get better through intense work and practicing at pace.
I don't think Mike McCarthy's the only one. I mean, you start talking about almost pitch count mentality like you see in baseball with some of these guys in the era where there's less hitting, there's less pads, there's less everything than there ever has been before. What Shoppy's looking for, and we gotta get back to the Schottenheimer stuff if we're gonna do it at all, right?
Yeah.
But he's really looking for every competitive advantage that you can get. And when you talk about return to normalcy and you think about, his coaching tree, how about his family tree and some of the stuff, his old man invented 9-on-7. As we go through, what it means to be able to get the most out of, less time in pads and less practices in general than there ever have been before, then let's ramp up the pace and let's try to make the most out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a philosophical thing to me at play here. And I think if you have a veteran team or you don't have a new scheme, I would push the envelope on let's arrive week 1 healthy. Right? And then we'll figure it out as we go. If we're not talented enough to figure it out and make the playoffs after coming in maybe a little bit rusty in week 1, I will say we're just not good enough, But with this Cowboys team, with as many young players as they're trying to work in, especially a new offense with a lot of motion, like precision is going to be key, and having reps and allowing things to be instinctual instead of having to think about it, I think is massive here, Newbear. But, I say all that to say, these injuries have me rattled. Well, and I'm looking at veterans that know how to do their jobs. Like Jerry Jones said last week, he doesn't mind Micah not practicing because he knows he's going to stay healthy. Right? Who else does that apply to right now?
What they're also looking at is, next man up mentality. The same way that they were willing to push Booker back to the 2s and say, hey, we're going to have a come out every day. We can't preach that mentality that every day is competition and the best man wins. They believe in the guys that they've drafted and they're developing, and then the guys that they're bringing in to fill holes. When you talk about Nate Thomas just alone, it's another 6'4", it's another 330 pounds, and maybe that changes the way that you would do things versus kicking Tyler Smith out, and maybe that obviously changes the way that you'd be doing things developing Tyler Guyton, but now they're just going to be able to plug that guy in and play to his strengths and then see what that looks like. I think we can't have the trailer that we have when you say, let's go, Jimmy. Let's kick it to Jimmy every time we introduce the show and not talk about fatigue, making cowards of us all. Schottenheimer wants the best guys, but he also wants the guys who are in the best shape.
Yes. Do you have to be getting rolled up on, right, in order to get in shape? There are lots of ways that you can get in shape. So and they always tell you nothing gets you in football shape until you play the actual games. Like the games are different from practice. So, I mean, what benefits are you getting that you could not in less high tense situations? Now, let me throw this at you because I'm in it for the debate, right? I'm not in it to like grind my axe and say I'm right here.
Sure.
The Chiefs and Patriots had the toughest practices, the 2 dynasties of record in modern football. So I think there's something to what Andy Reid's doing. I think there's something to what Bill Belichick is doing. But damn it, this is making me nervous. And it's the rest versus rust conversation. And after 9 injuries in 1 week in training camp, I'm kind of looking over at those rusty guys and saying, man, I'd rather have rusty, healthy guys week 1 than, we're seeing serious blowouts. And let's be honest, like serious blowouts around the league. Starters having Achilles, ACLs, like every day we're getting them. We're lucky right now with these 9 injuries that none of them have been to core star players on this Cowboys team. React to me, Newbear.
Well, and Guyton, that's a fracture. You're talking about broken bones. So yeah, it's not an ACL, but it's not a serious thing. And what's fascinating for me when you think about this going into week 1 and really those first 10 weeks, if we're going to do this at all, let's do it all the way. They gotta go 7-3. They might have to go 8-2 when you talk about the gauntlet that they're going to face. You want to talk about the rest versus rust. You want to come out with everything on the table against the Eagles in week 1 and set the tone that you're going to go on a run to open this thing and buy yourself some runway if guys get hurt during the season. I think there's an adversity part of this conversation as well, where if someone gets hurt now and you're dealing with that versus having to deal with that week 3, week 4, week 5, where, like you just said, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. The only way to really get in football shape is to play football, and then you deal with the cards, you deal with the chips as they fall or as the bones break.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I mean, specifically, I don't need to see Tyler Smith out there. I don't know if I need to. I do need to see some Cooper Beebe. I guess, there's only a handful of guys I'm talking about. The Cowboys have about 9 good, healthy players right now. If you throw in Diggs, you throw in Overshown, maybe you can get into double digits of really good players. I think you can get all that work and make sure your star players are healthy, because really, we need the role players and the depth to rise to their level. These guys are good, and that's why the Cowboys are so comfortable with Micah being out, or, the Seahawks were so famously comfortable with letting Walter Jones show up on the first practice of the regular season.
Sure. He's also pushing vans and 18-wheelers all offseason after all-pro. He was stacking all-pros, not even just Pro Bowls, not even just starter. I mean, that's GOAT-level stuff, Hall of Fame-level guy where you're willing to kind of look the other way as he bides time. What we're talking about here is Beebe was never a center before last year. What we're talking about here is Booker's never been on Sunday. What we're talking about here is Tyler Smith might have to kick out. And the only way you find that out is if you plug a guy in who's not really played much before, see what he looks like next to Tyler Smith. And the only way you find that out for real is if you're doing it live. Okay, let's talk about Nate Thomas here, as Stephen Jones joined us yesterday in the G-Bag Nation, 2 to 7 every weekday. And he said a lot of interesting things, including Deron Bland. It looks like Deron Bland's close to a deal. But also he said that Nate Thomas is looking like their starting left tackle while Sure.
Tyler Guyton is out. The Ragin' Cajun, 7th round pick in the 2024 draft, knee tendonitis last year. Will McClay said some nice stuff about him last week. Brian Schottenheimer said some nice stuff about him last week. But he really profiled as a guard, with a little bit of tackle ability. I find it fascinating that they're tabbing him as the guy that they want to be the starting left tackle, probably week 1 against the Eagles. My theory is they're looking at him like, we can mitigate pressure with help tight end running back Javonte Williams. But we need Nate Thomas to come be a people mover in the run game.
Sure.
And that to me is a clear sign of how much they're emphasizing getting it going on the ground this year, Newbear React.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about, too, with the jumbo stuff that we saw in the past few days and the extra tight ends. You're talking how much Scooney's going to play this year versus, years past and what he looks like now that Fergie got paid and stretching the seam. And if you do that with a road grading, let's call him a guard, and a guard masquerading as your left tackle, what that signifies is solving what I was talking about the last time we did our show, is you're solving one problem instead of 2. Tyler Smith gets to stay at left guard, and Tyler Smith gets to do what Tyler Smith does better than anybody in the league and really ascend to that place where next year, not only is nobody leaving him off his ballot, where he's the number 2 guard and someone had him as low as unranked, but at the same time, you're not worrying about having to solve tackle and guard. So even if it's a thing where maybe it's a little bit out of place or a little bit out of sorts, 6'4", 330 speaks volumes for itself.
It does, dude. It does, and he's super strong, and explosive with his hands, and I think getting that out on the in the running game gives this. I mean, you got Smith, you got Beebe, you got Booker. Like, holy crap, you're really going to be able to impose your will. And
well, you should be happier than anyone because you want Dak to throw it 500 times.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Maybe less.
Can we talk 450?
Let's do it.
I think if you could run the ball like 55 or 60% of the time in today's NFL, you are going to have a massive advantage because these defenses are built to handle speed and explosive plays. And the clear counter right now is an incredibly physical offensive line, great, not good running backs, and a quarterback ready to run the ball a little bit himself. Third topic here, and then I got to get over to the tennis courts here and get ready for the G-Bag Nation as KNC Masterpiece is wrapping up. Perry and Winfrey. Okay, a lot of guys in the area familiar, a lot of fans familiar with what he did at OU, has taken a really interesting route and maybe chaos, right, is how you would describe basically what's been going on with Perry and Winfrey. But now he's causing chaos in the defensive line. I don't think he's the true one tech, right? He's a combo 3-1. He's physical and strong and big for a 3, but not quite a 1, right? He's kind of a tweener in there.
6'4", 289.
But in this Eberflus system, I don't know if we need a true one tech because he's stressing so much, get guys upfield. They're getting Mozzie Smith to lose 30 pounds hoping he can get upfield.
Right.
The idea is just beat the man in front of you, make them react, and the linebackers are going to be running free instead of trying to wrestle with a dude and allow the linebackers to get free. This is more about causing pressure and causing chaos in the backfield, and that's something Perry and Winfrey did a lot in college.
Well, you opened the show talking about let's get in shape and what's the difference between Schottenheimer versus how McCarthy did things. I mean, one of the things that's really neat about Winfrey's background is when he was at OU, the big play he had in the Red River shootout is he notices that a guy's breathing hard, he notices that he's out of shape, and he grabs one of his teammates, throws him out of the way, and says, "Let me get in there," and he stuffs the kick, right? So if we're gonna talk about chaos, this is a guy who has been very disruptive, in his previous life, but he's also had some disruptions in his life off the field. And you talk about all the different ways that guys end up in Oxnard and all the different chances that a team takes on them. And sometimes that's what they need, is that fresh start where, the slate's kind of wiped clean and the baggage is part of your Wikipedia page, but you're able to let your play kind of make some of those things go away.
It's about to go down out here, buddy. Team session. Shoddy runs a really fun practice for the fans. I'd encourage everybody to get out here bucket list style. What are you hoping to see today from Cowboys practice as they'll be underway here before too long?
Yeah, well, we saw GP, right? GP3 on the big ball. We saw, Dak taking the deep shots. He hadn't connected with CD yet. If he's able to do that and you start getting CD over the top, knowing that GP is going to be able to track that ball unlike anybody in the league, I think that'll be really exciting to see. But also now that Ferguson's gotten the check, let's see him go tear it up down the seams. I'm just looking to see deep balls in the air and a lot of people out here, celebrating, clapping, dancing, and just having a great time. The weather's fantastic. Like you can't ask for a better two-a-day type of circumstance.
I can't wait to see Cowboys PR. Had a great debate with Stephen Jones yesterday. We'll put the link here in the video so you can go check that out, or just check out our library from tomorrow. I posted the hottest 6 minutes of that interview, and I really wanted not to challenge Stephen Jones or be disrespectful, just to give him an opportunity to answer all the theories that I have.
Sure.
that explain the weird ways in which they team build and negotiate contracts.
Well, and I think that's the outside of the big ball, the deep ball, the really fun stuff that you see when you're out here literally live and the guys are really going at it is what happens off the field. The big thing that still needs to happen is Micah putting ink to paper, and that could be something that we're sitting here any day and we're watching, and then that happens and that announcement happens, and then he walks out, and instead of being in street clothes, they give him a hat and he's busting heads.
So there's 5 talking points here live in Oxnard, California on How About Wow. We'll be back. We're going to go watch practice. We're going to be uploading shorts, but we'll be back tonight to recap all the top plays and storylines. And until then, how about wow?